Additional aids and services are available to individuals with disabilities. To make such a request, please contact us by email, by clicking the Help tab in the PD portal, or at pdportal@tamu.edu, by phone, including Relay Texas at 1-800-441-7323, or in writing to Train PD, PD Portal Support, 4477 TAMU, College Station, Texas 77843. Both a transcript and accessible document of the content presented in this webinar can be found as resources in the course description. Click on the blue links under Course Resources in the description. When a link is clicked, a new browser window will open.
I want to give a great presenter welcome to Jacqueline Aguilera, or Jackie Aguilera, and I want to share a little bit about Jackie. Jackie's adult education career spans more than 3 decades. Highlights include partnering with the Boston-based Doorway to Dreams to pilot financial edutainment online games, Houston's implementation of the English at Work program with local employers, and coordinating efforts leading to a Houston Tier 3 team win in the 2019 X Prize Adult Literacy Apps Competition. Awesome. So Jackie completed the COABE State Advocates for Adult Education Fellowship this past year and is now an alumni and advocacy mentor. So anything you want to know about advocacy, reach out to Miss Jackie and she will get you hooked up with the advocacy efforts. She served in an advisory capacity with the Environmental Defense Fund and Texas Southern University to implement an environmental literacy certification component to its Green Jobs Training and Employment Program. And most recently, Jackie was invited to join the X Prize Education Brain Trust, an integral part of their global visioneering team, and the National Telecommunications and Information Administration Digital Equity Leaders Network. So her service as a project manager with the Mayor's Office for Adult Literacy in Houston, Texas, has contributed to the office's local and regional impact that includes the Houston Adult Literacy Blueprint in partnership with the Barbara Bush Houston Literacy Foundation, 35,000 book distributions to AEL providers for their clients through an award from the Molina Foundation, and then laptop kit distribution for provider loaner programs in partnership with the Houston Public Library, and an AmeriCorps Vista Award through the Literacy Minnesota to develop digital literacy programs through digital learning literacy leaders, helping providers across the city's complete community service area. So Jackie views her service journey as helping others as she was helped. And as a trainer and consultant, Jackie candidly shares her lessons learned and experiences dashed with a sense of humor. Definitely. Believing that it's never too late to alter one's course in life, Jackie is an advocate for community efforts that strengthen all people from all walks of life. So welcome, Jackie. We are so glad to have you back with us again today. So take it away.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Olga. And thank you, everyone, for taking the time out of your busy day to join us and allow me to be a part of your day as we go to this session. This is a chance for us to explore a new part of adult education. It's been there for a while, but just like digital literacy and digital technology, that's kind of looked at as a supplement. We now know that this is an important part of future pathways that we're building for our students. If you want my information, one of the things that you'll notice a lot in my presentations is you're going to use your smartphone. My information's in that little green square, and that'll take you directly to actually upload my contact information for you. And you can take a look at that and have that in your phone. What do you call an alligator in a vest? And you'll have to scan that code to get the answer. The answer is an investigator. But this is just something to warm everybody up, to get used to using those QR codes. It is my hope that whenever we share these sessions, that you experience an evolution in your style, in your toolbox, in your training, in your approaches, or even in your thought processes. So we'll check back and see how well we evolved at the end of the presentation. Environmental literacy for work. There are 4 components here that I want you guys to focus on, that we're going to practice with and drill down. The first one is your audience. Who are you going to be directing in your lessons or in your programming, or if you're doing grant writing for funding? Who is going to be the target for your project that you're working on? And here, usually in our field of adult education, we look at English as a second language learners. We're looking at our high school equivalency learners. And then we are looking at, of course, the learners who are enrolled in our IETs, our integrated education and training. Now, there are other classes and other courses, and that's not to leave them out. But for this purpose, we're going to focus on one of these target areas. So that's going to be important. So in your mind, formulate ESL focus, HSC, or IET for your audience. The second part of this is functional literacy. The functional literacy is tied to the Houston Adult Literacy Blueprint. And you'll get a code in the next slide because you're going to have to go there and really take a look at that graphic because you're going to need it later. Part of that graphic is the new definition based on the feedback and research we did of functional literacy that is also contextualized within 3 domains. So we start with the audience, start thinking about who, what functional literacy aspects that you can use for that audience. The next part of this is going to be workforce literacy. And what we're talking about is the industry and transferable skills that go across all industries. And that is going to be something else that you can incorporate in this model of creating this lesson plan that is a contextualized model with all your components: audience, functional literacy, workforce literacy, the transferable skills, and lastly, we're going to put it all together under the environmental. And that is a focus on either local projects, topics, and initiatives in your communities. All right, so this is our outline. Audience is very important because, again, as instructors, we are going to be helping to coach and take information that our students, our clients need. So the first thing is always to assess who you are going to be addressing your lessons, your programs for. Looking at your audience and thinking about those of you guys who are ESL, think about your learners, your ESL client, your clients, your students. Those of you who are more HSC, think about those guys, get those guys in your mind. IET, if you are not directly teaching, hopefully you'll see there is a connection in all this once we go through this model. So audience is first. The Houston Area Adult Literacy Blueprint, the only document of its kind in the nation. It is being used as a model for a national plan, and it has been looked at by several other cities. What this is not just a report, but it's a strategic plan with goals that help us do our job and direct us to goals and measures of outcomes in order to impact adult literacy in our city. Now, because we share a lot of the same outcomes, targets, and measures, no matter in what city we live, this particular document is not just Houston siloed. It is actually applicable to cities across the nation. So in your particular programming, I would challenge you to take a look at this graphic. And what it does is it illustrates basically what we do in adult education. I was at a meeting yesterday and we were discussing how whenever you introduce yourself as an adult educator, most of the time people will say, "Oh, that's wonderful. Someone needs to be teaching people how to read. I'm so glad you're doing that." And while, yes, that is a part of what we do, it's not all that we do. So this is an important part of this model, is looking at what all is involved in what we're doing with our students and how to make connections. So we looked at our audience. Now we're looking at functional literacy. Now within functional literacy, you have reading, writing, computing, critical thinking, and oral communication. That's something that we've been doing. Now, something that you've probably been adding or doing as a supplement or partnerships, or you're just now starting to branch out into, is something that the people that we receive feedback, our focus groups, they call domains. And these are domains that contextualize, that add real world meaning to what we do in our classrooms. Those three domains are health, digital, and financial. Now, looking at your students, start thinking, okay, who are my students? Which part of functional literacy do they really need? What are they looking for? Is it more reading, writing, communication, computing, critical thinking? And then what can I contextualize those skills with? What domain? Health, financial, or digital? Okay. And I know this is still really abstract, but we're going to get some more practical shortly. The essential applied workforce skills. Okay, I heard a great term the other day. It's not new, but it reminded me of, yeah, we need to start using that. They weren't referring to these skills, these basic foundational workforce skills, as soft skills anymore. They were calling them power skills. These are skills that help make powerful candidates for employers, powerful, successful candidates for promotion, and to put into tracks for continued employment and advancement in companies. These skills are so very important. There is a website here. It's through Upskill Houston, and they actually house a whole series on soft skills, power skills, and some of the skills that are most important for what I suggest doing with your students. And when we're talking about creating this type of lesson, is looking at a focus on a skill that you can incorporate within that lesson. The power skills that I suggest you focus on are problem solving, critical thinking, creative thinking, research and analytical skills, teamwork, and communication. There are others there on the website. So this is Upskill Houston. This is the site. Now, you guys, those of you who are instructors, this is so exciting. I love it when this happens because you don't have to reinvent anything. These are short animations that go into the topic and include an employer's point of view. They're short. Some of them are 30 seconds. Some are as long as 2 minutes, but it helps you set up the conversation. So what I have done in past classes is actually chosen one of these and used it as an icebreaker for the students. We did this with Houston Community College with a group of students who were in a welding class. And on Friday mornings from 8 until 10, they were given life skills classes. And in those life skills, we included power skills, and we also included financial education skills. And within that, we utilize these animations to start setting up conversations. This is a great tool that you can use. It's fun. Because the videos go onto YouTube, you can actually slow down the rate of speech. You can do the closed captioning. So if you're working with those ESL students, that will help you in kind of bringing a more advanced level of resource, but bringing it down so that it's more relatable and able to be used in any level of a classroom. Because it's associated with Upskill Houston, it adds that business aspect. There is a code that you can scan, and that way it'll take you to that very website and you can check those out. And so we've done audience, we've done our functional literacy, our adult literacy, which includes functional literacy and domains, the workforce literacy, and now we're throwing in the environmental piece, the environmental literacy piece. A lot of times when we've gone into the greening of adult education and, oh, we're just going to learn about wind power and solar power and learn about it. Well, remember, we're trying to make this meaningful to our students and connect it with real world applications and relevance. So in doing that, we bring in what we do on the daily, we bring in the fact that there are applicable skills involved, and then of course, the topic. Now the subject matter, of course, can be solar and wind, water, alternative, renewable energy and fuels, but there's so much more involved. If we think about the domains, and remember the 3 domains, health, financial, and digital, we can contextualize those domains into an environmental literacy lesson. Here, if you see in the graphics, You've got some terms, but you also have some graphics that show the impact questions, things that involve the environment and the practical impact on our everyday lives. The impact of our environment is very important in understanding how those sources are used. I work in a building that is powered by solar energy. If something happens to that solar energy, what do we do? What happens? What happens when the batteries fail? What are the alternatives? Will we ever run out of energy? These are the different types of questions and things that start coming up in a practical way. The electric cars, and we know they're showing up more and more. You have your power stations at supermarkets, at movie theaters, in parking garages. And so what does that mean? Is it really making an impact? The bicycle lanes that are being built, oh my gosh, some people are complaining it's lost a lane, it's making more traffic. Now I have to look out for the cyclists, but what are the gains? Is it really changing fuel consumption? Have we really improved our carbon footprint in our city? Is it saving people money? What's happening? These are issues, again, taking what we usually do, our functional literacy, looking at it contextualized in how does it impact our health? What is the evolving technology? Or what is the impact on our finances? And really studying this wind power really makes sense to our students. Now, the workforce piece, of course, what are the skills that are being utilized to develop these technologies? Or how do we brainstorm our way into helping our communities? What skills do we need? And more importantly, what transferable skills are needed in this new workforce in order to be successful and have jobs and opportunities in renewable energy? These are the types of questions that get asked, and this is the model. In the city of Houston, we are hosting the nation's first urban-based solar farm. For 50 years, we had a neighborhood that basically was a city-approved dumping area. But when they finally shut it down and left this big pile of just waste land, finally took 50 years for a plan to evolve. And under our current mayor, the negotiations were made to transform this area into something that will not only be good for the environment, will not only improve the neighborhood, but will offer employment opportunities that will change the economy and will help supply energy to that neighborhood and surrounding neighborhoods, and is going to be used as a model for other neighborhoods. It's such an exciting opportunity. So with this, we can take a look at what is going on in our backyard. When I mentioned the environmental, take a look at your local community. What's going on in your backyard? What new programs, what new developments, new projects, what kinds of opportunities are coming up to get in the solar panels? That's a new project that opened here where there are co-ops that are being developed in neighborhoods. So groups of individuals can get funding to get solar panels installed. So, these are things that are going on in your backyard. Recycling efforts, garbage pickup, anything that is happening to transform your environment in your community. There could be pros and cons, and we're going to get to that too, because that's part of the critical thinking aspect. But right now we're looking at what is a free, available resource in your community that will connect your lessons to the real world. So when we start putting this together, you guys, the model is using this contextualized literacy, this checklist, this outline to create an environmental literacy lesson that has a workforce component that makes sense. It all combines and works together. So remember, your parts of this are who your audience is, your functional literacy, which includes a basic skill and a domain. Workforce literacy, one of those transferable skills. And then the environmental development, something that's going on locally, or a project, something that you're experiencing, that your students experience. And this could be an opportunity to ask them to bring in examples of environmental types of projects or anything that they've seen that deals with green renewable energy that's going on in their neighborhoods. Ask your students to bring that part in, because that will help also bring context and that real world connectivity to what you'll be doing together. Now, when we put this together, think about on ESL, one of the most basic level entryways to this is to focus on vocabulary. If you're looking at solar farms, look at the terminology. What does it mean? What are the words? What are the words attached to that particular item or anything else that goes into solar farms, so that you can develop a word checklist. You could develop flashcards, different things that you could do, games that could be developed, just getting used to the vocabulary and where it's being seen in the everyday world, sometimes in an email or a letter or a poster or even at a kiosk. The other part, if you're looking at high school equivalency, I suggested remembering STEAM: science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math. And I always throw in the arts because it takes that creativity to really bring all the technical aspects together and to present them. So think about STEAM for your HSC students. And again, the function: how do these things work? How are they designed? How are they built? What are the impacts of this particular topic? In this case, solar farms. And then lastly, our IETs, looking at industry. What is the economic impact? What are the opportunities that are going to be offered? What types of employment are possible? I will mention again that a lot of former coal miners in Virginia are currently being reskilled to work on the lines creating the batteries for electronic cars. This is real world stuff, you guys, and it's happening. And these are opportunities for our students, non-traditional right now, that we haven't spoken about before, that could lead to even higher wages and perhaps breaking cycles of poverty sooner than traditional routes of employment. This is a drill down. If I'm looking at ESL, the functional literacy that I'm choosing is reading. Okay. The domain, out of the 3 domains, I'm going to focus on health. And the workforce skill is communication. And it's still working with a solar farm. So these are the types of questions that I would like to include with my students in the lesson that I'm planning. And you don't have to include them all. Pick one question, because each of these questions can almost be a whole week, depending on what time you have and the engagement that you have. So here we go. Solar farm, what does it mean? When is it used? Where is it found? And why is it important? Okay, so these are some essential questions that could take a basic level and maybe intermediate and some advanced level ESL students. Now, HSC, I'm going to choose the basic skill of computing, okay, math, reasoning. I'm going to include the domain of technology. And I'm going to use the workforce skill, creative thinking. Now, creative thinking is not like critical thinking. Creative thinking is what we call the out of the box. The what if, yeah, I know that exists, but what about this? And really taking it to another level. Again, still solar farm, focusing on functions and the types of questions. How does it work? How can it be improved? Now, in HSC, you do have that history and government part of the GED exam. So I included, how can legislative policies supporting renewable energy help the community? What are the pros and cons? What are the potential financial, health, and or technological gains of having a solar farm in your community or having solar? So notice each step's getting a little deeper, a little more complex. And then on the IET end, looking at the basic skill of critical thinking, analyzing critical thinking, I'm going to look at the domain of finance and the skill, the workforce skill, research and analytical skills. And what I'm doing with these guys, same topic, solar farm, types of questions. What are the upskill, reskill opportunities? What are the small business or entrepreneur opportunities? Is there an employer partner in the area? And what is the earning potential for these employment possibilities? Look and find out what is happening related to renewable energy in your neighborhoods. What are the opportunities? What are the opportunities to engage, to make partnerships, to create projects, to offer opportunities for project-based learning? And for your really creative students, are there opportunities, small business or entrepreneurial opportunities there for some of your clients or students? I know that I've worked with several organizations who are part of referrals from the court systems. And we know a lot of our folks coming out of our courts have backgrounds that limit their opportunities. So what better way if one of our students or clients comes up with a new way to help the environment, to make an impact, or to do something better? Definitely look for those internships and externships. Those partnerships are so important. And again, it helps you connect a classroom experience lesson. We're not just learning how to be kind to the environment. We're learning about what opportunities exist to take care of our families, to improve our communities through green literacy and the economy. That's the connection, and important transferable work skills that create success opportunities no matter where they work. There is a curriculum called Roots of Success. If you have never heard of Roots of Success, you really need to get to know it. It is not new. It has been around for decades. It was created by Dr. Raquel Penderhughes at San Francisco University. It has been used worldwide to help underserved, impoverished communities help themselves, create small businesses, help their environments through environmental literacy. It is also the only curriculum, U.S. Department of Labor certified training certificate in environmental literacy for instructors. So it's a powerhouse of a curriculum. There's one video that I want to share with you guys. It's about 2 minutes, so I think it falls into our time frame. And it's with this gentleman right here. He is an instructor, and he's going to help make that connection.
It's a beautiful thing to be able to interact with the students, and help, overcome their barriers. We have a 14-week training program here. Fridays are dedicated for life skills. That could be anything from sexual harassment, effective communication on the job, anything that they should have taught us in high school but didn't. Those are the stuff that we really try to hit them hard with here. So coupling that with the Roots of Success has just been, it's just been great. It just gives them so much more information than we were able to give them on our own. The most important thing is just the general knowledge that they gain. One of the things that we're trying to do here overall is to teach our students to where they could be ambassadors of green. It's nice to give them different aspects of it, looking at it from transportation point of view, from buildings point of view, and then at the end being able to put it all together in the wrap-up module. When they walk out of the door, they can go into their neighborhoods, and the information that they've got here, they can share with their family, their kids, their aunts, their uncles, whoever they live with. And, through small incremental changes, we can do big things. The highlights are probably knowing that 2 of my graduates from 2 separate cycles ended up getting jobs with the Department of Environment. And I think that a lot of that has to do with the fact that they were able to go in there and speak about so many different facets and aspects of green, because, we cover everything from transportation to water to energy, in the Roots of Success. So it's just given them a more well-rounded education, in my opinion. I know I had one student come up to me this cycle and thank me, for the roots. Particulate matter was the subject that he brought up. He's like, yeah, I never knew about that particulate matter stuff. And I was just like, yeah, well, now you do. Go tell somebody. More opportunities are finally starting to develop for our kids under the green umbrella. So I can only anticipate more. That's the hope for the future.
It's one formal curriculum. If you have a budget for curriculum, I would offer this as a suggestion and to look at the training opportunities and what you can do. It is used with a vast number of populations of people, and it's a great tool. We have something in Houston called Greentown. It is the third in the nation, and they have different challenges for entrepreneurs. Each of those comes under a heading of go build, go energize, go grow, go make, or go move. This is a really great resource that you can pull in and share with your students because it highlights brand new innovation, technology, and development in the green space that is happening in neighborhoods in our city, state, nationwide. And it's a great resource to start having these discussions about what are the pros and cons, what are the impact. And it also can spur on that creative thinking, getting out of the box. Is there something that can be done even better? It also brings to light what is really happening in our world, that we're not just telling them a lot of theory, but this is actual practication. As you're planning for lessons to contextualize and to bring in environmental literacy, remember you don't have to reinvent a whole new class. You can take what you're already doing, your basic functional classes, the skills that you're doing already, contextualize them within a domain so that you can bring in the reality. And then, of course, marry them to a workforce literacy skill, the power skills, no more soft skills, power skills. And then get that within what's going on in your neighborhoods with renewable energy, the environment, different projects that are going across that mean something. Ask your students to bring those examples in that they're seeing around them and put this experience together. Consider those like Roots of Success and other programming that's available.
We hope you enjoyed this pre-recorded webinar. After you have passed the final test with a score of 80% or greater and have received your certificate of completion, please take a few moments to complete the course evaluation. Participant feedback helps Train PD at TCAL continue to provide high-quality professional development. To leave a course feedback, please go to the completed portion of your transcript. To do this, hover over the My Learning tab and select View Your Transcript. Click on the drop-down arrow next to the word Active and select Completed. Then, click Evaluate in the drop-down menu next to the course you just completed. Please note that your feedback is greatly appreciated.